Democrat Joe Biden. Let's bring in Ted Harvey, chairman of the Committee to Defend the President, and Laura Fink, Democratic strategist and Rebel Communications founder. Guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ted, I first want to start with you on just kind of a feeling. Is the American public, do you think, really, is it resonating what's going on in the House impeachment inquiry? Or do you think that this is just more noise, that Americans are just starting to tune out?
Well, I think that the American people are tuning out because the Democrats have brought nothing forward. It's been pretty embarrassing for the Democrats. I think it's been pretty embarrassing for the country, the hearings thus far, because nobody has come forward with any evidence other than hearsay that they weren't on the calls. They haven't talked to the president in 2019. They haven't talked to the chief of staff. And nothing is there. There's been no crimes committed, and the Democrats are just floundering. I think that's one of the reasons why they're rushing this through with 8 witnesses this week, because they're trying to get it over with as quickly as possible.
And Laura, to be fair, the calendar is not on their side. We've got Thanksgiving and Christmas coming. Gordon Sondland, though, is going to be testifying this week. And we had heard a lot of back and forth last week about, I heard it from somebody who told me that I overheard the president talking about Ukraine. I mean, we need more real facts to come out. Is Gordon Sondland, do you think, going to be a problem for the president, or do you think that he is going to defend President Trump this week?
Well, I think it depends on whether he goes against the multiple witnesses that came forward to say that they heard Trump directly make the call one day after the infamous transcript where he asked for that investigation into a political opponent and then held up aid as a result of that. Then he called to check on it with Gordon Sondland. And there were multiple longstanding public servants that heard that. And so that's a direct tie to Trump. So that's new information from this week. And so I think these next 8 witnesses, again, following on the theme, these are patriotic public servants, many of whom have military experience and extensive backgrounds in foreign policy, all testifying that they felt that there was something went wrong here and was in violation of the standards that they knew to be correct. And so the American public will have to digest that. I think it's really important to note their backgrounds and also the fact that we are now closing in on direct ties to Trump, which previously we haven't been able to do because those witnesses have not been allowed to testify. So we're talking about the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. We're talking about John Bolton. We're talking about Rick Perry, all of whom have been prevented from testifying by the administration. So we're going to start to see direct evidence in spite of all that this week.
Okay. Well, we just showed a baseball card. Well, all the pictures of, we've got, like I said, 8 people coming out this week. I do want to move on, though, to what's happening with the Democrats. And I'll start with you, Ted, but then I got to get to Laura on this. And this is Pete Buttigieg. This new Iowa poll, the guy really has had quite a bump since August in these new Iowa polls, and it looks to me now like, look at that, 25%, Ted. Elizabeth Warren at 16, Joe Biden at 15. What do you make of it?
I think that tells you how bad the field of Democrat candidates are. I come from a community that is the same size as South Bend. We're not even a town or a city. We're a homeowners association. So now we have a failed mayor of a town the size of my homeowners association that's leading the Democrat field. What does that tell you about the Democrat Party?
Well, Laura, go ahead and respond, because I think, look, we're still a year out. I mean, I had to point this out. In November of 2015, nobody was talking about Donald Trump as president. A lot can happen in a year, Laura. What do you make about Mayor Pete?
Cheryl, I think that's absolutely right. I think Mayor Pete's on the rise, which is the position you want to be in a field of candidates, all of whom are well liked, and so it's going to be a little bit of a horse race throughout those early states. Mayor Pete staking his claim, making extreme investments, a lot of airtime on TV, which is resonating in Iowa. A lot, so he's resonating. I think it forces Warren a little bit to invest a little bit more in Iowa, where she may have been looking ahead. So it changes the dynamic there, and it gives him some momentum. He's always been the wild card candidate in this race, so it's interesting to see him kind of take flight and watch the other front runners respond to that. But it's a long way to march.
I got to ask you both real quick as we wrap this up. We had Dow 28,000 on Friday. That is despite the impeachment inquiry that was going on all week. That some people call it a circus. Some say we need to get to the bottom of the story. Ted, to you first, the economy, is that still going to matter in November of 2020?
Of course it will. There's never been a president that has lost an election when the economy is on the rise. And when you're having record-breaking Dows, you have the GDP being as high as it is, you have unemployment being as low as it is, this president is setting up a situation where he's going to win without a doubt.
Yeah.
The question is whether we can keep this economy going for the next year. That's a long time in politics.
Laura, a final word. What Democrat candidate, in your opinion, could even really run on the economy, if any? It's tough to fight what really are good numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's remarkable about this president is he's historically unpopular in spite of the strong economy, and that's because of his personal behavior and now direct ties indicating that he has abused his power.
Obama did
so,
at this point.
Just a moment, Ted. I'll just finish it by saying that the field is wide and open, and in spite of the economy, President Trump looks weak going into the election. But it's going to be a tough race for both President Trump and the Democratic candidate.
And you both are going to be with us throughout the entire journey. Ted, Laura, guys, thanks so much. Great to have you on this morning.
Have a good day.
All right.
Oh, speaking of money, let's take a